What is same face syndrome? It's a term used when artists tend to give their characters similar facial features, same eyes, same nose, same face. You know what it is. Everyone has made a video about this already, but I kind of want to give my perspective on it. I don't know why else I'm explaining it, but rest assured you'll know how to avoid it by the end of this video. Yes, I'm finally making an art tutorial on this art channel. We are truly breaking new grounds here. But in all seriousness, I keep referencing same face syndrome in passing within my other videos, so I thought it makes sense to finally give some tips about it. Even though I'm using my own art style as an example, it can be applied to any art style of your choosing. I think this could even help with drawing other art styles as well. You may be able to make that self-insert character after this video, who knows? So yeah, first let's get into the whys before we discuss the hows. You're probably thinking, who cares if I draw the same face on every character? It's my art style. And you're right, dear viewer, it is your art style. I want zero problems, big fella. All I came to say is as artists, we are also storytellers. Whether you make comics, create animations, or simply one still image, you are a storyteller. And when you share your story, which is your art, legibility and readability should be a priority. That being said, here are some ways the same face syndrome can mess up a story. 1. The inability to track who's who. This is rare, but it's a thing. Most art that tends to do this is usually forgettable anyway, so I don't have too many examples. But what I've seen in passing is the reoccurring complaint that people can't tell the Squid Game characters apart, which is funny because, like, they don't look all that too similar, but I can imagine it being a problem when tracking characters' stories. Chalk it up to similar looking people in the casting department with similar hairstyles or whatever, but whatever's happening, the story isn't as legible to some people because the characters aren't as easy to track. I didn't watch Squid Games. Remember, I hate gore, so I can't verify, but yeah, that's a problem. Also, I have the largest secondhand knowledge of Bleach. I don't know the story, I only know the characters because my ex-boyfriend was obsessed with it and he introduced me to Bleach Brave Souls. But anyway, not knowing the story, I couldn't tell Lisa and Nano apart. Like, side by side, it's obvious who's who, but if they weren't next to each other, I'm like, okay, what the heck?
Why, I'm Squidward.
What kind of fool do you take me for? He's Squidward, you're Squidward, I'm Squidward! Are there any other Squidwards I should know about?
Me.
But yeah, you know, this could go on forever about similar faces and how it can lead to confusion. But yeah, you should never try to confuse the viewer. Number 2, if you like to get artsy, it may be an issue if you draw the same faces. Color is such an important part when it comes to mood and story. If we can't recognize someone just because their color changed, that's an issue. Nothing's more cool to me than when the colors just switch up to be more dramatic. Clearly, if everyone has the same face, it's harder to distinguish them. It's possible, but it's not ideal. Me personally, I tend to switch up the palette a lot in my art, so that's why I tend to avoid the same face syndrome. Number 3, it's easier to distinguish them when you simplify the characters, especially when you're doodling or drawing small versions of them from far away. This might seem irrelevant now, but sometimes you have the urge to draw a wide shot, so it's good if you can find ways to simplify them. So those are the 3 reasons why you should avoid it. We can list a billion more here, and you can add to the comments if you have any additional reasons. But yeah, you can see that all of these can affect the story if you disregard it. Now onto why we tend to draw the same faces. I had to really sit back here and think why did I used to draw the same faces? Yes, I had to time travel back to when I was a kid and a beginner artist and think about all the same faces I used to draw. And here's some of the reasons why. Drawing is just fucking hard. Honestly, it's hard, okay? You're wondering, how do I draw different faces if I can't even get the one face correct? And that's so valid, and that makes so much sense. I think the first step before even thinking about switching the faces is first finding that art style. I wouldn't even beat yourself up if you're a beginner artist and your faces just look the same. You know, just experiment. Find that style first, and then worry about the same face syndrome. I think it took me around 4 years to find my art style, style and about another 4 years to avoid same face syndrome, obviously it won't take you that long. It only took me forever because I was working with some prehistoric Neanderthal tools. You have better resources than me. Patience is a virtue. Practice is king. The second reason we tend to draw the same faces is because as artists, we replicate what we like. What person are you looking at? What fandoms are you in? Whose art do you see often? Believe it or not, I believe these aspects play a huge role into our art style. I'll use myself as an example, but please think back to yourself and your art throughout your journey. My main fandom was MySims, so it did teach me to avoid the same face syndrome, but one thing I struggled for years, it was the noses. I couldn't draw noses because these characters didn't have any. So I kind of just started drawing the same noses on every character regardless of ethnicity. In the past, it used to be the anime noses. And then as I switched over to cartoony, it became what nose? It became my nose. When you can't draw something, you're looking for a reference, and my reference was the mirror. And this goes for many artists. Their characters accidentally start looking like themselves. I think of Kevin from Animator vs. Cartoonist. If you've never watched these, please do. Please do, they're so funny. But a recurring joke was that Kevin tended to make his characters look like himself. It's happened so much, but honestly, the Sailor Moon one, it was so funny. Freaking pretty guardian Sailor Kevin over here. Like, even he's aware of it, turning it into a comic eventually. Another one I've seen, a common one actually, it's the fear to make ugly characters. Heck, not even ugly, just regular people. If you notice something about same face syndrome, it's that the characters tend to be smoking hot. Now, even with Kevin might just find himself hot, therefore drawing what his perception of beauty is onto the paper. So yes, we like to draw characters who are appealing. If you find only specific characteristics beautiful, then that sometimes leads to the same face syndrome. A way to avoid this if you think this way is try to find the beauty in diversity. Find the beauty in uniqueness. It's okay to have preferences in a character, but when you think about making another character, look for the inner beauty. Yes, we hug trees and use healing crystals on the Rose Maddie channel. But in all seriousness, try to find the beauty in wide noses, or eye bags, or thin lips, or moles, or whatever. Think of someone who's close to you and their face. Everyone you're around daily, they're not models. But since you like their personality, you like their face. I swear, some of my characters' features come from people I know, and it's like super crazy. I'm crazy. I just be looking at people's faces and draw them in my book. Like, I straight up don't care. Like, I'm insane, okay? I'm fucking go, bitch. I be stealing faces, but yeah. Your reference, whether it's your own face or the fandoms you're in, it can lead to the same face syndrome. Also, if you're yassifying your characters, it can also lead to the same face syndrome. So really think back to what's influencing you. I wanted to take time on this because it's so important. Before I start yapping my advice, it's always crucial to reflect on yourself. Once you do that, we can finally talk about the how. Okay, so you found your art style, or something you think is your art style, and you want to change the face. The first step, I recognize what is the most basic face in my art style. Since MySims heavily influenced my art, and since I used to draw Chaz and Travis a lot, I'd say my generic character would be something like this. Honestly, it kind of looks like Emmett. Don't tell Emmett that his design is the equivalent to a Roblox noob. But yes, draw your noob in your art style. Once that's situated, figure out what are the common traits in your art. For me, it's open eyes with black dot pupils, a nose that kind of looks like this with a bump and a nostril, and lastly, the mouth. It's usually bean shaped because I am a sinner who's probably gonna sin again. And for lips, they tend to be detached. Okay, that's mostly it. So once you've broken down your art style and its design traits, begin destroying it. Narrow the eyes, widen the eyes, then go ham with the eyebrows. Thicken it. Thinning it? Is that a word? That is not a word. Thinning it. Do that. I don't care. Play with different shapes. you know, just go insane with it. And I've mentioned this tip before, but it's so good. Just look at different faces on Pinterest or online or whatever and try to draw them in your art style. You can even try to draw celebrities in your art style and see how well that translates. Using those same stretched and thin lines, just go for it. I could just show you the different shapes that I use in my art regarding the eyes, nose, and mouth. I think especially with the eyes, you could probably tell which character it is from how extreme the distinction is. But even though some of these character features are different, they still have those unifying things that I mentioned before. Open eyes, black dots, beam mouth, you get it. They all look like they're from the same universe because the basic principles remain the same. But you can do so much more. In fact, let's talk about different characters and their unique distinctions. I like to give my characters certain small facial details that are kind of just special to them. In fact, let's just list the trifle doses, because that's easy. That's easy to do. Brandon has a band-aid and freckles. Bree has lipstick and bottom lash mascara. Emmett has dimples, yellow teeth, and slit eyebrows. Hippie Girl has thin lips. Her eyes have a positive cantle tilt. Gioni's left side of the face has a scar. Her eyebrows and the top of her scalp is kind of just receded. Get this girl some keeps. And of course she has a negative cantle tilt. Jolene has buck teeth. Her ears are also big. Kathy's lips are rounded, and without the bangs, her eyebrows are triangle shaped. DeMarco and Lamisha got moles. That's an easy one to add. Skylar has a lot of unique features like gap teeth, eye bags, moles like everywhere. Darren has no eyebrows. You get it right. So the extent of how unique the character can be. But let's not just stop there with the unique facial features. How about taking it a step further and create unique expressions as well? Not everyone looks the same when pissed off. This is one I love to do, just giving each character expressions that are unique to them. Angry Lamisha tends to have a very scrunched up face. I also give her like Ice Cube eyebrows. Angry Jolene, her face is also scrunched, but her hair turns spiky. Angry Kathy, her face just turns red. It's really hard to create a character angry when you can't see their eyes. So I was like, red face, just turn her into a fucking tomato. Angry Hippie Girl has levels. First, she hides it behind a smile, and then next, her face turns red, and then she starts crying. I also made her eyes, her pupils dilated, and it just doesn't blink. Like, if you look at Pizza Pocket, she just doesn't blink. She's like the creepiest person when angry. But that character is also a crier in general. I don't think I've drawn any other character who cries with snot. It's just so unique to her. And this can extend to smiles as well. Lamisha can only give small smiles. She cannot bean mouth. So, yeah, that's like the limitations of her face. It's just that small smile. DeMarco, though, he has that cursed bean mouth. And you will know from that one meme. You know the meme. Hippie Girl's smile is heart-shaped. It's giving Hamilton animatic. Also, I don't stabilize the brush when drawing Gioni's smile. Someone cue up that J. Cole song about crooked smiles or whatever. And of course, there's characters with different teeth. That in itself would give off a different smile. I could go on forever about this, but I think you get the point. I'm sure you can see why this video over here exists. For me at least, because I spent so much time giving each character random small insignificant quirks. But I love doing it because at the end of the day, I just really love unique faces. Let me know if this video helped in any way. I usually don't give out art advice. But hey, sometimes art advice is writing advice, so I thought this could truly help somebody. Also, random shout out to this comment in my last video. After reading this, I needed to yap about this subject. I dare you to say ambigu brown 3 times as fast. Ambigu brown, fuck it. But yeah, we are avoiding the same face syndrome here on this video. Okay. Okay, that's it. That's the video. If you're interested, check out my book 2152, The Trifold Article. It's both animated and illustrated, sci-fi and adventure. This book has the characters I mentioned in this video, but you know what? I think I'm gonna plug Pizza Pocket this time. I played up the emotions to 11 in this game. The art is dubious in quality, yes I know, but the faces are just totally here. Anyways, that will be linked below as well as the newsletter. I have a Discord for artists and writers that'll also be linked below. Like and subscribe and whatever, that is much appreciated. Have fun while creating today, and I'll see you guys later!